Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my initial thoughts for Spirit Eye Celine, or ML Celine. I know that this has taken a lot longer than my usual releases. A lot of you guys were saying when I gave my Rimuru thoughts and my Milim thoughts, I had them a week apart, and this one's even a week further. Apologies again, just because it's just been a busy couple of weeks with the new releases and the World Arena season ending. So I had more time to digest, and I just re-looked at her kit from my initial viewing. I was there on the live stream when they initially released this, and when I was looking at this, I'm like, whoa, full team revive, immortality, lifesteal, has defense pen, has full cleanse, has another like undispellable buff. Like on paper everything looked like it was very OP. But then, after a couple weeks later, the honeymoon phase kind of left, and so now I have like a more clear mind. Now I've already seen a lot of people's reactions. I think majority of the people are not thinking that she is looking really too good, and they question her skill. And I think this is gonna be where I would put my concluding thoughts. We're gonna go through everything, but concluding thoughts, I don't think she looks super strong right now. The unfortunate part is that, again, we do know how heroes can get buffed. So ML Cowrick being kind of like late buffed in the end of Ambition season for World Arena ended up being a very, very strong pick. Yeah, even like I predicted, even if he wasn't using a debuff comp, he's just a solid support, and now people build him damage. Solid support, attack buffer, immunity buffer. And so we know that this could happen to her, right? Let's be real. Everybody's expecting heroes who are not that good at the release. They're just gonna get buffed, and then it's gonna be like, oh man, I wish I pulled her at the time. So this is not gonna be really about if you should pull or not. I think if you have the currency, you should pull for almost every single mystic, and then just see which one you get. You know what I mean? Like if you're free to play and you have limited mystics and it's time gated with guild wars and shop re-rolling and what have you, what you're really doing is you're just tossing mystics at a mystic banner, hoping to get them very quick, and so that you can save your pity for someone that maybe you really wanted. As I'm making this video, and I know it's really close to the end of the Ravi banner, the question I was asked at the beginning was like, well, is this Spirit Eye Celine or should I go for Ravi? So Ravi is tried and tested, and she ended up being one of the meta heroes, one of the highest pick rates in almost every World Arena match at the end, unless you Cleaver, and even Cleavers drafted Ravi. She ended up being really strong in this season, so it's really hard to say that, oh, you should pick her, but it's more of like I don't know, Ravi had her reign before, and then she got passively nerfed by other people being too strong, and then she couldn't really handle the meta, and then now she's back because she got buffed, and same thing can happen to her. So honestly, it's really, if you don't have Ravi, try for Ravi. Again, proven that she works right now, but it's not guaranteed, right? And like I said, mystic banners are honestly just throwing mystics and hoping you get every single one of them really quick, very fast, being very lucky, free to play by the way. So anyway, Spirit Eye Celine, I think she looks fantastic. I talked about her a bit when we talked about the hype train thing that was released a couple months ago. At that time, I thought she was like a not even a 4-star. That's what I said. I was like, her design looks kind of bland, but then now with the I didn't notice she had such big bazongas. But now looking at her, and then she has a sword out with the preview that was revealed on that hype train video a couple months ago. She didn't have the sword out. They had like a sword, kind of like a concept art beside her and stuff like that. But I don't think she had a sword out like this. So still, regardless, she's a 5-star, and she still doesn't look like ML Celine to me. I don't see the resemblance. It's harder for me to grasp the resemblance here. If they introduce this, let's say this screen for example, and they blurred out Spirit Eye Celine, let's be honest, okay? Like I compared the hair, I'm like, okay, yeah, she kind of has similar bangs, but the color's so different, the style is pretty different, the whole outfit is quite different, and this one's like showing some skin in terms of the legs. And then the eye color different. I even think the eye shape is, to be honest, a bit different. It could be a totally different artist, but I just never saw the resemblance. Whereas like, you know, Cigarette and Operator Cigarette, you can see the differences, but at the same time you can see the similarities. Same with Ice Kisei, Judge Kisei and stuff like that. So it's it was very, very surprising for me when they released it. It was like, oh, it's Celine. Oh, and everybody's expecting ML Lilius and stuff, but she was already there, right? In that preview video, she was already there. It's just that we never connected the dots. Again, I don't think she looks like the original Celine, but whatever, she's Celine. So she's a light elemental thief, Sagittarius. I even confirmed with one of my guildmates, and I was pretty sure about this, but I think this is the new, a new star sign for thieves, especially 5-star base. I believe there is a Sagittarius 4-star thief. I believe I've seen that combination there, but you know, when it's a 4-star, the base stats, you don't remember it unless you're a meta hero. So she is, she's the first 5-star thief that's a Sagittarius. So look at the base stats, it looks pretty impressive. And I think with if she had a very, very strong and robust kit, she would be very good. Although, albeit I think that the base stats that she has, it probably is stronger than her kit, to be honest. It's kind of unfortunate that I feel that there's this couple stuff wasted. So for example, the speed, 122 speed is not slow. It's pretty good. 27 crit rate with a self-imprint crit rate concentration of 16.8%. We're talking, like, I think Assassin Sid is 30 crit rate, if I remember correctly, 30 crit rate plus 14. So we're getting to like an Assassin Sid level of crit rate, which means that if you were to build her really high speed like Assassin Sid, it's just easier to build. Like if you run it on a crit set, you could run it on a pen set and you can still get 100% crit. So like that aspect, having a triple S of her, if she's good or when she becomes good after a buff, it's going to be very, very beneficial for her, right? So base attack is at 1158, which is around similar to Kayron, I believe. I think she's a bit higher than Kayron. The health at 5016. It's not the lowest, but it's also not like RB high, right? RB is considered pretty high. The defense at 532, also not the lowest, so it's not like the violets and stuff like that. So overall, like pretty robust. 122 speed, like I said, pretty good, and then 27 crit rate, and then 150 crit damage. No additional on the crit damage. Effect resistance release imprint. It seems that she could be played as a support hero. It's just that I don't know if what she'd be running with has high effect resist. We'll have to see. Again, I'm very, very unsure about her because I just feel her kit is very, very conflicting. It's like really, to me, she's like a reminder of obviously like a couple heroes like ML Ken, conceptually. ML Ken, like Tempest Surin, you got a slight maid Chloe, I suppose. And everything else, like everything else of hers is honestly just on the S1. Like she literally only has one damage skill and it's the S1. And I'm just thinking, you know, does it, like, is that enough? Right? Like is that enough? Like technically like Angel of Light Angelica has only one damage skill, which is her S1. Everything else is like just kind of passive. And so Spirit Eye Celine, I feel like she, you know, she'll have the same struggle as like Angel of Light in a way, in terms of like Politis is there. But you guys know my style. I don't like, you know, hammering down all the negative parts of a hero just because they can be countered by X hero, right? Like every hero has a counter. It's just more about the flexibility. So the S2 Sixth Sense, damage suffered in one attack does not exceed 70% of the max health. And but with the Mola up to +7, it ends up being 51. So it ends up being a T-Stern. So she gets 2 tapped. If she doesn't heal, if she doesn't heal before getting hit once and she gets followed up hit again, she's dead. Like for people who have burn damage, she's not able to cleanse like T-Stern. So let's say Carrot, you know, puts like a full burn on her and like detonates, or she gets a turn. Oh well, yes, if she gets a turn and she's not tanky enough to deal with the burn, she'll die through the burn. So damage over time doesn't count the max health. So burns or detonation of anything that's enough to exceed the the health, she won't be able to survive it. Rumaru's fixed damage is going to be a huge issue for her right now. And again, like I said, it's not my style to do that, but I'm just saying that those are the flaws. Something that Tempest Surin can live through is, for example, if you run like FCC with Tempest Surin, like if you damage her enough, I think it's 70% of her max health, then she'll trigger that cleanse and then jump into stealth with the CR boost. She can cleanse the burns before you detonate it, right? So an ML Kawazu, for example, does the S3 into T Surin. Oh, let's say there's no FCC actually. So you ideally, realistically, you'll probably damage her down to 50% health. So once you trigger her cleanse, she cleanses the burn so she doesn't detonate through it. But Spirit Eye Celine will have that issue. She will detonate through it, and so you can one-shot her, whereas T Surin can cleanse it. That might be something that they will look into. I don't think they're just gonna copy a Tempest Surin thing and just call it, you know, this is buffed. So I don't think it's gonna be a cleanse thing. They'll have to figure something else out, or maybe just figure out a different role that she's supposed to take. But at the moment, she's very unclear for me. So yeah, so it's 51% of the max health after Max Mola, and it decreases skill cooldown by 1 turn when somebody dies, acquires 5 souls. The effects upon death are only activated once per turn upon a hero's death. So 1 per turn of Spirit Eye Celine and upon a hero's death. So for example, if someone does like, let's say you run her in World Arena and someone does like a, you know, Flan into Luna and kills off 2 targets, because in that 1 turn, then of course Spirit Eye Celine will proc it once. Or you have 2 follow-ups, right? So like it's Assassin Sid kills off one of your party members, but not Spirit Eye Celine, because obviously you can't kill it. And then Assassin Kali kills another. She will only be able to get the cooldown for that one hero and acquire the 5 souls once until she gets a turn. So like, does the base speed 122, you know, does that mean that you can build her fast? So I did a calculation. If you have her on a speed set with 30% speed increase, of course, and a speed boot 45, being an I-90, with an average of 15 speed per other gear, so your neck, ring, sword, chest, and helmet. If you have like an average of 15 speed, you can get it about like 278, 280 speed pretty easily. So an average of 15 gets you about 280 speed on her. Of course, more will get her faster, but like even then, like, is she worth it? Maybe to get that lifesteal going, but we'll talk about that lifesteal in a bit. So skill 3 is Spirit Gate Burning Possession. Acquires 3 souls and it's a 6-turn skill. Minus 1 turn cooldown for the skill enhance, but of course you remember that the passive there does decrease the cooldown, but once per turn if someone dies. That's where it gets really. This is where I already start feeling that the kit is very it's to counter very aggro playstyle, but then she doesn't. So okay, I'll talk about my summary on this, but she right now she's reading like she counters a very aggro playstyle because she benefits from your teammates dying, right? So realistically, unless you have a way to just, you know, like I said, the burn detonates, the fixed damage and stuff like that, you can just kill Spirit Eye Celine in one go. Most people are gonna attack the others, right? I think that's the idea, with her full kit in mind. But it seems like, yeah, she's there to kind of counter very aggro teams that also have very squishy HP or defense. So like right away I'm thinking, okay, maybe counter cleave, but it's not even so strong in terms of a counter cleave compared to, let's say, a Bellion or Rem or a Violet when drafted in the same team, right? So if you're trying to cleave through and you don't have an uncounterable skill, trying to cleave through a Bellion on Elbrus with Rem with Violet, there's a high chance that your cleave team is not like surviving that, unless you got some really smart way around it. But in terms of like what I've witnessed throughout the World Arena season, what I've experienced myself is that, yeah, once you have a couple of those RNG heroes, it's hard to cleave through, right? So like she doesn't even do a good enough job for that. But let's, you know, I'm kind of spitballing here, but okay, let's get to the S3. So S3 is a non-attack skill, so we have to keep that in mind. So again, it can trigger Politis And when you trigger it, it can actually be devastating that you trigger Politis, because so it opens the gate of spirits, dispelling all debuffs from the caster and making the caster possessed for 3 turns. Revives all dead allies before granting immortality to all allies for 1 turn. So that's of course including herself. So if your allies are not dead, like a huge portion of this skill becomes like obsolete, right? Well, I guess you can't really say that. So if they're not dead, you grant the immortality still. So that's kind of good, I guess. But if you do it before they're dead, and let's say you run it into a Politis, so Politis will like fully nullify and fully you can quote unquote dispel, but she does the turn buff rotation. She does the 1 turn removal, so she removes the immortality like immediately. So like if you were in a corner, and honestly Politis is very strong. Like what she deals with is very strong. It's not that Spirit Eye Celine has an issue with her. A lot of heroes have issues with Politis. She's very, very strong. But it just kind of nullifies it. But if you do set it up at the beginning there, she could be very solid for anti-cleave, right? So if a player drafts cleave into you and is not able to kill your Spirit Eye Celine quick enough, and if you built a really high speed or something, she's like a pretty decent support hero, right? She can also use Silver Rain as well. So we talked about that for Ran. So since this is a non-attack skill, if you build it really fast, you can build it on Silver Rain, which will buff the ally with the highest attack, which could be good. Which could be good again for anti-cleave. And then she has the revive if you want to play slow, I suppose. But still, that being like mixed with the S2, I think it's still a bit kind of weird. So in terms of like Maid Chloe, if you're gonna compare the 2 roles, both can revive all allies. Maid Chloe revives and has I think it's 30% of HP or something like that, or 20% HP they're revived with. We have the situations if they have died before she applied the revive buff and she uses the S3 just purely to revive. If you're not in the right CR timeline, someone's just gonna kill you off anyway, right? So like we've had the situation before, she'll struggle with the same thing. But with Maid Chloe, of course, like unless they strip the buff, you have the ability to retain the 3-turn revive buff. So like there's a high likelihood you can get some damage off before your heroes die, and when they die they still revive. So of course that's the strength of Maid Chloe, but she's also a healer. So very, very, like, you can't really compare the 2, but if you're comparing the 2 roles, she's much more effective that way. The possession skill is a non-dispellable skill, so Smilegate's been really loving this, like perception buff, like what else is there? There have been like a lot recently released, I feel. Oh, Milim Eye, Dragon Eye. And then we got possession here. So when she gets possession, counter attacks when suffering a critical hit, right? And then when attacking, absorbs some of the damage dealt as health, and then possession cannot be dispelled. So yeah, I think possession for 3 turn I think is long enough. And then you're I guess you're hoping for your teammates to die so that you get the turn cooldown quicker so you can keep this up. So again, I think they're trying to go for this kind of like T-Cern with ML Ken thing. So I mean, T-Cern on lifesteal set, access to like Gab or Soulburn S3, or be able to hold the S3 until you can, with lifesteal, because T-Cern can do AoE, you can get more health back, right? With her, you can't really do that. They add little things to her to help with that lifesteal, but again, we'll be talking about that in a sec. So this is part of the S3 animation. I do have to say though, I think her S3 animation is very, very nice. Again, I unfortunately have to compare a lot of ML5 S3 animations compared to ML Charles. ML Charles is still one of the most boring ones, although I do feel that he's very strong. I like him where he is at the moment, and but it's just that mullet hair thing, and his head looks way bigger in the sprite, and the S3 doesn't look good. She looks very, very good. Bellion looks very good. A lot of the recent S3s look very good. I like hers. I'm not showing everything here, but I like that when she opens up that door. Wait, was it in the S3 here? Yeah, opens up gates of the spirits. Yeah, so that little screenshot, that icon there, when you see that temple, that shrine door open, I think that scene was really cool. I really like that presentation. This is a screenshot of just what that looks like, that revive. So she, like I said, like they're revived with Immortal, but they're not revived like Maid Chloe. I think it is 20% health if I remember correctly. Revives the heroes with 20% health. They are protected with the immortality, so in terms of like, it's stronger than Maid Chloe because they'll survive a 1 turn, except if they get stripped. So if you compare the two revives, Maid Chloe's has the flaw of their revive and they're not protected anymore. They can just straight up die, although they do get an attack buff. But they can just straight up die. Whereas if you're fighting a team without a D-spell, especially without a D-spell able to do it after she does the S3, then the opponents are in trouble. So like I said, I think like for an aggro type comp, she might work. I'm not super convinced about some kind of longer lasting bruiser fight. I don't think she has the sustainability. Here we have, I'll read the mods of the S1, how much she can lifesteal back, but here we have like a very, like usually Epic 7 can curate the fight to showcase something like very insane, right? So they had an opportunity to kind of like showboat how much she can heal, to oversell it, until we run our own damage mods and calculations, but they didn't even do that. So she hit FCC here to heal back a measly 472. I believe the sequence here, if you compare to this one, is that FCC gets a turn, and then she does an S3. So after this, she got a skill null, and because the S3 crit her, I suppose maybe elemental advantage, you get that 15% extra crit or whatever. It did crit ML Celine. ML Celine has possession, as you can see there, and then she counters back with that lifesteal. So 472, right? You can arguably say, well, FCC is a tank, she has higher defense, so you're going to be healing back less. Yes, I do agree, but I do think that like they could have showboated it, but they didn't even do it. So one, okay, so that's good, right? Thumbs up, no false advertisement. Because if I read the mods for you, you'll see how quite it is pretty low. It is definitely pretty low, and we'll run some comparisons here. So with the possession and countering on a critical hit, that it kind of feels like, okay, maybe she can be like T-Serin. But I think again, T-Serin's strength is that she can hide into stealth. She has a little CR boost that can really help her get the turn to lifesteal when she needs. She can pick and choose whether she wants to do a S1 or S3 if she's on lifesteal set. So therefore, you want to heal full, or do you want to heal just a little, right? Because sometimes depends on the turn rotation, depends on what they have in terms of heroes. They may not be able to knock her out. You have a, Alexis Basket lucky proc with a greater attack buff, and you think that, okay, S1 on the squishy target, it gives me enough health to be able to survive. Let me save the big heal for the S3, right? So T-Serin, after T-Serin got buffed, because T-Serin didn't used to work that way, after she got buffed, she was very strong on lifesteal set. Now, with ML Celine, she doesn't have that ability. She has this kind of like a pseudo ML Ken ability. So ML Ken, if you have any experience with him, and I've had multiple experience with him, mine's on a lifesteal set, and I have ran him on a Draco Plate. So Draco Plate would reduce the damage, increase the crit damage, so realistically, you're increasing the lifesteal because you're doing more damage, correct? It does not heal enough. It does not heal enough. I ran it once into an arena defense team because I was too cheap to swap the Sigurd Scythe. At that time I only had one. Too cheap to swap the Sigurd Scythe out. And so I'm like, okay, I'll run this Draco Plate because I had one spare. It did not heal enough. And I do feel that Spirit Eye Celine here will struggle with the case that conceptually it's that, oh, you can't kill her, but she'll critical hit you if you hit her, and then she'll heal back, and then so you'll never kill her. You understand what I mean? So like every turn you go after her, she's gonna heal fully. That's not the case. That won't be the case at all. So based on the data mine, she has the skill 1 is a 1x mod, and it does a 20% lifesteal if possessed. So remember that she does have that condition. She has to have that buff up. So very like circumstantial. If your teammates don't die and you don't get that buff enough, then she's not gonna get that a lot, right? So look at the reading here. Attacks the enemy with the sheath, and then when the skill is used, if it is not triggered by a dual attack, has a 35% chance to use Nimble Sword instead of Mighty Strike. So Mighty Strike is the base skill. Nimble Sword is like this extra skill. When the caster is possessed, effect chance is doubled, so 70%, and this skill does not trigger a dual attack. So the nimble sword does not trigger a dual attack. I believe that's the right. The nimble sword won't trigger a dual attack. So on the off chance that a dual attack can actually save you, you have a 70% chance. If you have possession, you have a 70% chance not to do the dual attack instead. So the S1 with being her only damaging skill is compounded with a bunch of RNG that could save you in one scenario and it could break you in another scenario. Depends on which side procs. So Nimble Sword, like realistically you'd be saying that, well, Nimble Sword is always the better one, because if you read Nimble Sword, it dispels one debuff from the caster before swiftly attacking the enemy. So dispel from herself, and then penetrates the target's defense by 35%. Obviously, cleansing off, like dispelling a debuff from the caster will always be good, right? But then when you need it, it might not hit. And then when you do Nimble Sword, you might not dual attack. When it, in fact, would be like, oh, you know, sometimes people rip an S1 into like a clutch fight because they're hoping for that dual attack. It does happen sometimes. It sometimes doesn't happen. I've had a loss recently in World Arena when World Arena closes, that if I did not dual attack, I would have won. But because I dual attack, I lost. There are situations like that, but of course there are always the vice versa. So this skill honestly ended up being like a very, very weird one for me. And then on the top of the fact that, like I already said, that Mighty Strike is a 1x mod, 20% lifesteal if possessed. 20% lifesteal. So you're talking about, like, for a substantial HP gain, we'll use 10,000 damage, right? 10,000 damage as a baseline, because it's easy to calculate, it's easy to imagine. You're realistically not doing 10,000 damage on the S1, but if you do 10,000 damage on the S1, if let's say you use Nimble Sword or they have a defense break or something, and you do hit 10,000 damage, you're healing 2,000 HP. Yes, that's enough to keep you alive, but is that enough to sustain the fight, right? So like I said, like I think the design here, the philosophy here was like, she's supposed to sustain as many hits as possible, and if people keep going for her, she'll keep countering and keep healing, right? But it doesn't really work that way. I think a Ravi on a counter set with a 30% chance to counter has a higher likelihood to full heal herself over someone like Spirit Eye Celine. So like I said, using my knowledge of lifesteal set is 20% of damage dealt healed back as HP, and ML Ken on Draco plate with lifesteal, even if they crit him, it does not heal anywhere close to something like a Sigurd Scythe. Sigurd Scythe is really what makes ML Ken's healing absolutely bonkers. It can full heal him because of Sigurd Scythe, getting that extra attack buff when his HP is lower than 50, but then 50% of that damage going back into healing, and on top of the fact that ML Ken has the ability to, the lower his HP, the stronger his damage. So let me compare the mods here. So ML Ken's on the skill 2, which is what is considered when he gets critical hit. His skill 2 is a 1.2 times mod. So again, Spirit Eye Celine is 1 times mod. It is a 70% chance if she has possessed, but so if she counters, it has to be with possession. So you have a 70% chance of doing that. Hers is 1.3 times mod with a 35% chance to pen defense. So it is strong, but ML Ken has a 0.4% increased damage per 1% health missing. So the lower ML Ken's health is, the more damage he does. And so realistically, what you're looking at, let's say he's under 50% health, on average, you're looking at his damage mods to be what? Like 1.5, 1.6 times mod. And then some people are trying to run ML Ken on lifesteal pen set. If you have that, that's a huge one. But let's not put the pen set in. Most people run resist set or immunity set lifesteal ML Ken if they're running a lifesteal ML Ken to begin with. But on top of that, ML Ken can have Sigurd Scythe compounding with that. Now again, if we're comparing the two, I don't like comparing one better hero over this and then therefore this one's bad. But it really feels that this is the thing that Smug is trying to push here. Like they're not making it very ambiguous that, you know, they're trying to compete with like a T-Siren. They're trying to compete with like an ML Ken. It's like, it's very, very similar kits. And so when you're comparing the heal, she just does not do it, in my opinion. She doesn't do it. And then if you're relying again on that extra damage, if you're doing it not for the lifesteal, not for the sustain, you're just doing it strictly for ML Celine being a DPS, then she fails on that part too. Because like I said, 35% defense pen, very, very solid, but 70% chance to proc it, and you have to have possession, right? If someone Bassars her, well, actually no, Bassar doesn't count because she can cleanse it on the S3, so she'll get possession no matter what. She does dispel all buff, so never mind. You can't unbuffable her, at least unbuffable her. I don't think there's any way, actually. She will cleanse them all. Yeah, she'll cleanse them all. If it's F10, she gets provoked anyway, so it has nothing to do with her ripping the S3, it's just that she can't even do the S3. She'll do the S1. The raw damage here, because I mean, I think they ran out of skills to Mola. We got 1 there. We do have 7 here, but she is a higher raw damage hero. So in terms of usually people, you know, at your heroes at like 1x mod, they have like a 30% raw damage. So she does have a slight advantage here. It is a 40% raw damage here. If you calculate the all +7 skill enhance here, it is that. So yeah, so I'm not quite sure exactly, you know. I would say again, like if you like have the mystics and you're not really missing anyone, I suppose tossing a few won't hurt, because like they'll buff her. And definitely I don't want to be like, you know, I skipped ML Cowrick, not because I thought he was just trash, it's just because I was at the time that I needed to save for like strays and stuff like that. Although actually that doesn't even make sense, but anyways, I needed to save my mystics. I was very dry from pulling like subsequent sequential heroes back to back and stuff like that. So in the same situation, like I don't want to miss Briar Witch, which I missed, and because I couldn't as well at that time. ML Cowrick, and now she's really, really good. Like I wouldn't want to miss her if I had the chance, but I don't know where she's gonna work. Like I said, I think that the only way that she'll really make sense to me is anti-cleave, and that kind of anti-cleave, like even the newly buffed BBK can deal with, because she has immortal. So all the stuff that like Rimuru can steal the buffs and stuff like that. So all the flaws that BBK has against cleave, she I think realistically will struggle with. So with the Rimuru stealing the immortality, with just, you know, strip heroes, being able to strip the immortality and stuff like that, I think she'll have that same struggle. And then again, not as much lifesteal as ML Ken, so she doesn't really work there. Doesn't really have T-Siren's benefit of cleansing burns away before she detonates and stuff like that. So like that's really like all she has. Like she has a lot of dispel debuffs and stuff like that, which I think in the right situation they can be really good. But then the S1 dispel is very, very limited in terms of its RNG. You have to get that 70%, and you have to have the possession up to get that 70%, and to counterattack she has to have possession up. So a lot of things hinge on that S3, and then you're kind of stuck again if they pick Politis into her. And so therefore it's kind of strange. Actually wait, let me double check. I want to double check, does her S3 cleanse everyone, or is it just herself? Because that's actually an issue too. Yeah, so yeah, that's a really, really big issue actually. So it dispels the debuffs from the caster only. So yeah, like, so in the situation of, let's say, Bassar, or someone who has AoE unbuffable, so Briar Witch, Assyria, F10, like, that's not gonna really help, right? Everybody else is unbuffable, so they won't get the immortality. So yeah, I mean, you can wait till they die, but does your Spirit Eye Celine survive? And you can't even counter to survive in terms of lifesteal until you do it. So no, actually, you know what? Like, the more I think about it, the less I'm convinced that she's gonna be that good. And even in the anti-cleave comp, I don't know. I'm not quite sure about this. I mean, it's been a while since I've had a hero who I'm very, very unsure about. But yeah, the more I think about her in situations and rotations and how you use her, I'm not quite sure. And if you're gonna ask, well, Jagan, what about lifesteal set? What about counter set? You know, would those make her viable? I don't think so. I think the kit is too limited in that the damage situation and her sustaining herself is so situational on that S3, and that S3 ends up not being super useful for a lot of scenarios, because a lot of scenarios actually hinder her S3, just like the old Mei Chloe. So Mei Chloe required that AoE dispel, although she could only dispel 2 debuffs, but she needed it. Like, that was absolutely needed. And so right now it feels like ML Celine is a hero that has all the issues of those heroes I talked about, the Mei Chloe, the ML Ken, T-Siren, all of the old stuff, like before they got buffed, before they got, you know, improved. So I think she's like this, a very strong model for Smougate to buff, if you know what I mean, right? So if she has all these similarities to these heroes, but all of them to their unbuffed counterpart, then like it would make sense that she gets buffed and quite quickly, right? But don't hold my word for it. Like, don't take my word for it. I don't want to, you know, tell you guys to pull for something that you shouldn't. But in terms of what you have on paper right now, I do not think she's worth it. I think if you do have her and she's successful, I can't really think about a situation where she'd be really successful. But if she is, I feel that even then, you cannot need her at this moment. I think that's my assessment there. But anyways, hopefully that has been informative, and thank you guys again. If you're watching this and you wait for my initial thoughts videos, appreciate that support, and thank you again for your patience for waiting as I deal with these busy weeks. But I'm going to end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.